You're listening to the Unwritable Rant podcast with your host and bourbon-soaked storyteller, Juliette Miranda.
Well, hey there, y'all. It's Juliette Miranda. Welcome to episode 262 of the Unwritable Rant podcast. I have a bourbon-soaked story for you about Ungood voodoo and a golf cart decked out with a disco ball. But first, we have rules here, y'all, and that means grabbing yourself a glass of bourbon and knocking it back with me. Cheers, y'all. Oh, it has been a crazy couple of months, and I think I say that at the start of every single goddamn podcast, so y'all are probably pretty sick of hearing it by now. Nevertheless, here's my big news. The nail on my toe fell off the other day, and we're talking my big toe here, which is pretty disconcerting when that happens. Now, this being New Orleans, my first concern isn't the impact that this will have on the well-being of my toe, but the impact it will have on my karma. Do you think a displaced toenail is good voodoo or bad voodoo? Because I'm kind of thinking it's ungood on all levels, spiritual and physical. So this whole thing started in Las Vegas. I had decided to freeload along with my guy on a business convention trip, and I was kind of, busy drinking the Paris bar out of bourbon, when I got it in my head that I wanted to play a few rounds of slots. Honestly, y'all, I can really take or leave slots. I'm more of a pinball gal at heart, which is obviously the end product of having been born in the 70s. So to me, slot machines are nothing more than glorified video games that just happen to spit out dollar bills when the stars align. Still, my guy was off on some work boondoggle, and the bartender was beginning to show concern for my liver, so the slot seemed a perfectly fine diversion for me. I'd had previous luck playing some wacky Wizard of Oz games, so I was headed in that general direction when a different game caught my eye. And that happens to me quite a bit. I'll take a shine to a slot machine because it sparkles or it has some sexy-looking pirate chick on it. And my guy always says that I am a sucker for cheesy graphics. I guess he's right, because the game that got my attention this time had a giant skunk on it. Ugh, I'm such a fucking idiot sometimes. Skunks are perhaps the last animal I would associate with gambling, which means, of course, I need to sit down and see what this ridiculous game is all about. I don't know if y'all spend much time in casinos, but there's a very particular science to the chairs that they place in front of the slot machines. One that's designed on keeping you sitting comfortably for as long as possible. But for all of the smooth edges and height control and cushioning on these things, the one thing they haven't figured out is the weight. Those chairs are fucking heavy and a pain in the ass to move. The skunk game chair had a base like a boulder. And I say this with authority because I managed to drop the full weight of it on my toe when I tried to wrestle it away from the machine. Holy balls, y'all, that hurt. It hurt so much. I can feel it radiating from my toe to my ass. But I'm a grown-up. I'm a big gal, I'm not going to let a stubbed toe ruin my day. So I plunk myself down in the chair, I take a gulp of bourbon because that's what you do, and I slide some cash into the skunk game. Somewhere in my dim brain, I get the thought that, well, hey, this game owes me now, as if the great casino skunk god is going to take pity on the stumpy drunk broad who can clearly be lured away from anything with nothing more than a cartoon character. My toe is throbbing incessantly, but no matter because I'm going all in on Skunky. I make my bet and then watch as the spinny wheels turn up a wedge of cheese, which, yay, I love cheese, the skunk, which is kind of looking more and more like a weasel now, and then a large bin of trash, the net result of which yields me exactly $0. As I'm trying to make sense of what has just happened and where my money went, I notice that my toe is no longer throbbing. It is now numb and suspiciously cold. So I wiggle it. I mean, that's what you do when something isn't working right. You just kind of move it around. Moving my big toe doesn't hurt exactly. Mostly it just feels kind of wet. So I look down and I'm wondering maybe somebody spilled a drink on me or something, but I cannot see my toe at all. And that is because it is pumping blood like an oil rig. My sandal, which was previously white and cute and open-toed, it is flooded with blood. Blood that is spilling out of my shoe and pooling on the floor around it. It looks like a crime scene. Well, shit. I know I can't just sit there bleeding like a virgin on a sacrificial altar, so I am forced to get up and gimp my way to the ladies' room, leaving a trail of bloody footprints across the casino floor behind me. Oh, I was a disaster. I threw all grace and dignity out the window, and I propped my foot up on the bathroom sink where I plunge it into that kind of sketchy bathroom water and try to wash away the gore Jack the Ripper style. And here's the thing. Nobody stopped to offer me any help. Like, all of these ladies are coming and going, and they're all eyeballing me. They're looking at me, and they're like, what the fuck happened to her? But does any one of them stop and say, hey, do you need some help? Are you okay? Not a single goddamn one. I am soaking an entire dispenser worth of paper towels in my blood and layering them in the trash can, and no one even asks me a question. Like, I could have murdered somebody. I could have stabbed the shit out of somebody on that casino floor and would have just been washing it all off myself, and they wouldn't have cared, which is food for thought for the future. Anyway, I'm trying to clear away all the gore, and even when I finally get the blood to stop, it's not entirely clear what damage that I've done. All I know is that my toenail has turned this deep, aggressive shade of black. And when I press on it, rockets of pain jolt through my leg. Needless to say, y'all, all I won on that Las Vegas trip was a gargantuan bacterial infection. So several days later, back at home, that's when the entire toenail on that toe just pops right off into my hands, which really did make for a fun little trophy. It was so gross, so nasty and gross, and I'm just holding this whole toenail intact in my hand going, oh, fuck my life. And here's the thing. That was the least of my issues in that moment. My guy, the lucky dog, had come home from Vegas only to have to turn around and head to Florida for work, which left me toenailless and to my own somewhat shaky devices to deal with a new, lovely little treat. The fact that the street we live on had been turned into a pedestrian mall overnight. Not that the city actually notified any of us residents or the stores. They just threw up traffic barricades one morning and let us sort through the resulting chaos. Now, I know you're thinking, well, who cares? That's not a big deal. And I get it. Eliminating traffic on a street might seem like a good idea on paper. It might seem like, hey, who cares? I mean, God forbid every single tourist in the French Quarter be forced to dodge a car while they try to figure out how to walk to Café du Monde. Nevertheless, here's the thing. It doesn't take into consideration that, one, people live and work on this street every day, and two, us people rely on automobiles for transportation and deliveries. Admittedly, the transportation part doesn't affect us so much. We pay to park our car at the hotel garage around the corner, and I gotta say, it's been about 6 months since we've even seen that thing. We literally walk everywhere. That does mean, however, that deliveries are essential for us to get the things that we can't walk to, like, say, groceries. And Amazon is a perfectly fine solution, it is, but their so-called doorstep delivery has now relocated to the corner of wherever is most convenient for the driver. which isn't exactly fine, but I can make that work. Now, my problem that particular day was that I needed to receive a large delivery. The kind of delivery that necessitates being sent right to my door because it involved a very large, very bulky set of new living room furniture. I had spent the previous day coercing the delivery company into a promise that our furniture would arrive no later than 10 a.m., which is when the street barricades go up and remain up until dark, when, if we're lucky, some mystical force just happens to come by and remove them. So I'm talking to this guy and I'm going, I mean it. Dude, if y'all get here after 10 a.m., you're going to have to haul all of that furniture a solid 5 blocks on your backs to get to my place. So please, pretty fucking please, make this an early morning delivery. 5 a.m. I don't care. I'll be there. I'll be up. The dispatch dude assured me, oh yes, you will be the first delivery of the day. And who knows, maybe I was, with the exception that that first delivery didn't happen until afternoon. The driver who called me from his cell phone that day sounded annoyed, as if it was somehow my fault that the street was closed. And he's saying, well, ma'am, you'll just have to reschedule. I have no way to get down your street. Fuck that noise, dude. I knew full well what would happen if we did not get our furniture that day. It would wind up bouncing around in that truck until October, when it would finally arrive broken and unfixable. So no way. That shit is getting hauled up to my house if I have to hire the Darth Vader karaoke hustler down the street to do it. I tell the driver to stay put, and I drag myself and my bedeviled foot out to the street to see what I can make happen. It is downright disrespectful outside. Sweat immediately erupts from my pores when that humidity hits my skin. I have to wipe my sunglasses off on my shirt because the lenses have fogged over. Y'all, I love New Orleans, but man, summertime here is pretty crazy. I survey my street situation, and somewhere in my head I had hoped that the barricade ferry had maybe missed a few intersections. But no, large metal barricades have again popped up as far as I can see. There is small consolation in the fact that this does leave tons of open parking in front of my building, but that still begs the question, how the fuck do I get the truck here to deliver? I see a police officer standing on the corner and decide that I'm going to appeal to him for help. He looks hesitant as I approach, and I guess I can't really blame him for that because I didn't look so far removed from one of our resident street urchins. My clothing was sweat wet, I'm disheveled, my hair is frizzy and terrifying, and then there was my stupid fucking Franken-toe. It was too soon for me to hide that monstrosity in a shoe. Instead, I was forced to put the tragedy on full display in my flip-flops, so I've got it loosely bandaged, but it's weeping this sticky, yellowish fluid whenever I put too much weight on it. The officer asked if I needed help because that is his job, but he clearly wants to take 2 steps away from the needy quarter rat. So I try my level best to be as polite as I can possibly be, and I'm saying, "Sir, I have a furniture delivery coming. Is there any possible way you can open the street for the truck to come through? I promise it won't take long." He motions to the general expanse of our street, and he says, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, it's a pedestrian mall during the day. We can't have trucks on it." He and I both know full well that there are more panhandlers than pedestrians on the goddamn street right now, and I can tell he is daring me to point that out. Oh, and I want to so badly because, like most French Quarter residents, I hate pedestrian malls. Hate them, and I had 999 million reasons why. But I also know that this is not the police officer's fault or his problem. So instead I say, "I completely understand, sir, and I don't want to cause any problems. I really don't. I just don't know what else to do." And in saying that, it's where my brain sparks a little bit. I get one of those little jolts of electricity that triggers something that happened long ago when I was a kid. It's something my dad taught me. I had just turned 16 and gotten my driver's license, and I gotta preface this by saying it was a different time and place. And yes, if you're playing the drink game, take a shot right now because I said it again. It's just that this is Southside Chicago, pre-1990s. I don't even know what to call it. It's just the way things were then, so please spare me your judgies. As a congratulations present for getting my driver's license, finally, my dad gave me a brand new wallet. And in it, he had placed a $50 bill. It wasn't for spending, he explained. He called it a bond bill. Should I ever be about to be ticketed by the police for something minor, and he stressed that it's got to be something minor, like failing to signal or running a yellow light, my dad instructed me to tell the officer I want to post a cash bond for my driver's license. I doubt this is still the practice, but back then, the officer would confiscate your driver's license when issuing you a traffic ticket. You'd drive around on your ticket as ID until you paid the fine or gone to traffic school, and your license would eventually be mailed back to you. However, in Illinois at the time, you had the right to pay a $50 cash bond to retain your license. It was kind of an involved process, one that involved going to the police station with the officer, having him fill out a bunch of paperwork, and then formally making the payment to a cashier and getting a receipt. It was kind of a pain in the ass for everyone involved, which is where the Chicago politics come into play. Because my dad, well, he had very specific instructions on what to say next. I was supposed to take the $50 bill out and say, I'd like to post bond for my driver's license. Do I need to go to the station with you to do that, or can I pay it here? He also mentioned it wouldn't help if I smiled and, gave him the pretty girl look. And I'll tell y'all, and I will just say this and leave it here. In all of my years as a driver in Illinois, I have only gotten 2 tickets. And that is astounding, considering what a rotten driver I am. It was this anecdote that is rolling around in my head as I'm talking to one of the French Quarter's finest officers. And y'all, I had a pocket full of cash I had intended on using to tip the delivery guys. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and I am not ashamed to tell you, I legit started to reach into my pocket with the thought that I could maybe post cash bond for the use of my street again. I can't even believe I said that out loud. But don't worry, y'all, don't worry. I never got the chance to do that. I didn't even get the chance to pull the cash out of my pocket because our French Quarter police officer starts laughing and he says, "Baby, I'm just messing with you. Move the barricade. I don't care. Just put it back when you're done." There's that wonderful French Quarter sense of humor. Relief is the first thing I feel, followed closely by a kind of worrisome knowledge that my dad would have been so proud of me in the moment. And it timed out perfectly because that damn delivery driver was now ringing my phone and threatening to leave if I didn't offer him a solution right then and there. Because, they have a schedule to keep. Dude, I got the okay from the police. You can move the street barrier and park at my front door, and I'm thinking, boom, fuckface, I've got your solution. Only I didn't. Because the driver informs me in no uncertain terms that there is no way he's moving my furniture and the street barriers. What I want to say is, isn't that your job? To deliver shit? I am a heartbeat away from going Godzilla on this guy until I realize, well, he probably never had any intention of delivering anything to me in the first place. Because this is the fucking French Quarter, and I'm sure he knew full well that if he happened to make it to my door, he was going to have to battle wonky stairs and narrow hallways in the swampy muck of humidity, and likely just said, fuck that. So he was doing his due diligence to prove that he had made an attempt before turning right around and letting someone else deal with my shit. Oh, but he didn't know who he was up against. Oh, no. Because I get things done, and I do not waste my time yelling. I'm far too resourceful for that. So I said, fine, I'll move the barriers. Where are you? I am expecting him to say that he's around the corner, like any other normal delivery person would have been. But no, this jackweed says, I'm at the church. The church? You mean like the cathedral church? The one with touchdown Jesus in the back? Yeah, that's the one, he says. And to my ultimate horror, I realize he's not around the corner, but many, many blocks down the road. I look down at my toe. Once again, I have discolored all of the surrounding fabric around my toe, not with red, but with gross yellow. Fortunately, the oozing seems to have stopped, but the throbbing lingers. And I know I have a choice. I can go home. I don't have to do this. And maybe if we hadn't already donated all of our old living room furniture to Habitats for Humanity, I wouldn't have been so anxious to get the new stuff. Maybe if this were any other city on the planet, I would have had more faith in taking a chance rescheduling the delivery. But this is New Orleans, and while they may call it the Big Easy, nothing comes easy here. One way or another, I was going to have to work to get what I wanted, and that may as well happen now, so game on, fuckers. I take off down the street and hobble my way 5 blocks to the delivery truck, where I find not one delivery guy in the cab of the truck, but 3, all of whom are clearly not concerned about their alleged schedule and are all enjoying a snack and a few beers in the breezy comfort of their AC. I, meanwhile, look like something pulled from the Mississippi. I'm all wet and dragging my foot behind me. I slam my palm against the truck door and I yell something about moving their asses, but I am so hopped up on angry adrenaline that the words just kind of merge into an unintelligible glob of sounds. They got the point. They put the truck in drive and I get the fun task of playing traffic director. There is a barricade at every intersection for the next 5 blocks, each one heavy, large, and made of sturdy metal just designed to take abuse. These things are bulky, but not entirely unmanageable, and although it takes quite a bit of swearing and dragging and sweat, I managed to get the first few barricades moved out of the way and then back in place, with the truck following behind me at a nice gentle crawl. It's only when I get cocky and I think, sweet relief, I've got this, that everything just goes to hell. I'm at the final barricade. And as I've done 4 times before, I clutch the white-hot top metal bar because this, of course, has been cooking in the sun for several hours. And I tug. Where the other barriers would screech and grumble and reluctantly allow me to drag them across the street, this one stands firm. So I shake it, as protocol dictates when something isn't working, and it does nothing. This barricade wants nothing to do with me or the other side of the street, and that is because its stand is caught in a pothole. You think you know potholes until you move to the French Quarter. They are a special kind of hell. They happen without warning and expand without reason, often taking up giant expanses of street. Occasionally, a city worker might get a burst of energy and put a traffic cone in one, but mostly you're left to discover them on your own. We have a completely inappropriate joke here in the French Quarter that the only way to get a pothole fixed is to start naming them after Confederate soldiers. You learn pretty quickly that you do not want to step in a pothole, because it's not just a pothole. Oh no, that crater serves as a gathering place for cockroaches, a general trash bin for lazy tourists who can't stomach another hand grenade, and an outhouse for our local crazies. The pothole I was confronting was so deep I was pretty sure I could see the 1800s below me. To move the barricade, I first needed to wrench its leg out from under the goddamn street, which isn't exactly easy for a gimpy, half-witted chick like me, whose main cardio is walking bags of liquor home. I'm tugging and I'm swearing and I'm trying to wrench this thing free. And although the pothole seems to be getting bigger, I am making no progress in getting the barricade loose. Meanwhile, my delivery truck is blocking traffic at the open intersection. So cars are honking at them, and then they're honking at me, and all I can do is yell, "Honking doesn't help!" I have developed quite an audience at this point, all of whom are happy to stare and TikTok my dumb endeavor. If there is a hashtag for "look at this idiot," I am sure you will find me. My house is half a block away. The only thing between me and it is this stupid fucking barricade that is being eaten by the concrete. My toe is no longer a toe. I've had no choice but to use both feet as leverage, and the pressure from digging in as I pull in the barricade with everything I have has turned my infected toe into a filthy rainbow of pus. I feel like I am wrestling with the very core of New Orleans itself, and I am seriously questioning everything at this point. My absurd commitment to immediate gratification and comfort, my commitment to the French Quarter itself. I mean, what am I even doing out here? There are places in the world where you can get deliveries and not need to literally move the street. Places where rats don't lunge at you from garbage cans, where water doesn't come with a boil order after every foot of rain. But just as I'm beginning to think that maybe New Orleans is in need of a serious reboot, I hear the plucky sounds of shaving a haircut tapped out on what I think is a toy horn. I look up, and there, pulling out from around the angry traffic jam, are our friends Edmond and the Maven, driving a golf cart decked out with a disco ball. Edmond is wearing a pink seersucker suit with his signature jaunty fedora, and the Maven is wearing so many pink feathers he looks like Big Bird dunked in a vat of Pepto. They are the sweetest sight I could ever see. The next thing I know, I am engulfed in two of the warmest, nicest hugs a girl could ever ask for. These are New Orleans hugs, and unlike potholes, they are an entity you should count yourself lucky to experience. Edmond looks around and he says, I think you could use a little bit of help. That is an understatement, Edmond. The two of them move me off to the side, and Edmond takes one end of the barrier while the Maven takes the other, and despite wearing their French Quarter best, they work together to force the barrier from the bowels of the street and move it to the sidewalk. The furniture guys are finally able to pass us, and as they do, the Maven shakes his pink feathery fist at them and says in his breathiest twang, "Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves." They both hop back into their cart after replacing the barricade in the street, and Edmond asks if there's anywhere they can drop me off, looking down at my sorry toe and suggesting urgent care, maybe? Nah. At that point, the only thing I want is a drink. The guys both agree that is a far more practical idea. And then they invite me to Antoine's for lunch with them. "Give me 20 minutes, I say, and I wave as they drive off, with Edmond pausing to yell back at me, "Wear something pink!" Oh, I love how these things happen. Back at my house, the delivery guys are unloading my furniture and looking for instructions, which gives me the opportunity to deliver the one and only zinger I have for these three jerks. 2 flights up, guys, and mind the narrow balcony. It was their turn to sweat. I had to laugh later as I was putting on a pink sundress. I hadn't even thought to ask why I should wear it. Just like our friends didn't think twice about offering to help me out there on the street. Because that is just something you do here. People ask me all the time what it's like living in the French Quarter, and I'll tell y'all, it's not easy. It will test your patience, your endurance, and definitely your sanity. But you will never find a more loving and genuine community, and that's everything. Lord help me, I will never leave New Orleans. Besides, I can't. Do you have any idea how hard it would be to get a moving van here? Cheers, y'all. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Unwritable Rant podcast. I know, episodes are slow and few and far between, but I'm still doing this shit, y'all, and I cannot thank you enough for listening. I really, really appreciate it, and I promise you, there's more in the future. It's just a little slow and far more difficult to get there than I ever imagined. But definitely keep an eye on my Twitter page. I am at Morning Neurosis, or my Instagram page where I am Juliette Miranda. And if you feel like supporting this show with a little bit of, booze money, just go to the unwritablerant.com and click the link that says Buy Me a Drink. You can make a one-time donation to this show or a regular one if you're feeling inspired, where you can keep me in booze and I will keep you in boozy stories. So enjoy the rest of summer, y'all. I will do my best to come up with far more crazy bourbon-soaked stories to share with y'all soon. Cheers.
Go to theunwritablerant.com and sign up to get early access to interviews and new videos. And don't forget to connect with Juliette on Twitter at Morning Neurosis.
Girl, you was pretty as a Sunday morning, standing on the corner at Carondelet. What you say we make our way up to Bourbon, a couple hurricanes and a hand grenade, and get blown away. Let the chips fall where they may. If it's all the same, what you say, bon ton, hey, pretty mama, I can smell the gumbo. Sweetest taste of honeysuckle on my lips. Good God Almighty, I can hear the trombone. Every heart ought to beat to a rhythm like this. Come a little closer, honey, let me hold you. Nothing tastes better than a bourbon kiss. You can be the flower on my magnolia. Every heart ought to beat to a rhythm like this.